the more I look at these, the more I realize how much I enjoy old English memes.
No, yeah, I remember once I went to like a museum with a friend. Like he had to go for an art project and he didn't want to go alone, so I went with him. I'm like, yeah, sure, I find art relatively okay. And then literally the entire time we just spent like when we got to like the portrait section, memes, just a shit ton of memes. Every portrait was a meme. And I'm like, yeah, this is what the classics wanted for us in the modern age. To memify their fucking portraits.
Beautiful. An art form.
That's all we can do.
They'd probably still be happy that it's like, oh, people are still looking at my art at least. Even if it's worse.
Look at this magical gif of snails emerging from out of nowhere. To eat that corpse of a fish. It's magical. They just materialize.
That's
nice.
And that's an encounter in the making if I've ever seen one.
You see that up close. Well, let's hope we don't get on the bad side of Void Lord Wormy-Doo.
That's close enough. Nah, this is if you go in the ocean.
That's why nothing good happens in the water.
Basically.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, look at all these specifically only aquatic creatures that I can only use if you go in the water. Hope you don't need to go in the water.
It is hell.
That's why we work on what is effectively a Pangea.
As the Kraken leads his army of Marrows, out pops the Leviathan with a freaking ocean dragon. Like, no.
No, I'm good.
Just no. None of that. On the land. Terra firma.
Speaking of Terran. No, that joke.
There she go. I don't hear the noise anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't make the noise.
It doesn't do a doo-dunk or doo-dunk. And it trips me out because then I notice that someone's just been gone this whole time.
She's just evaporated.
Also, even just looking at this one, it's like, what was this dude thinking in the first place?
For what?
For the picture.
This picture.
For the fish? Oh,
no,
for
the
oh,
I think he just wanted to do something different. But the thing is, he had to hold that pose for several hours, probably over the course of several days.
Probably sent it to like a rival he beat out or something.
Are those sea slugs?
What?
On the fish gif there, are those sea slugs?
They're supposed to see snails.
Whatever.
Same thing. Same difference, yeah. They just magically appear from nowhere. But as for that portrait, I can just hear him. I can hear his laugh. Ha ha! Play man.
Huh.
Excelsior!
Step aside, knave. Have you seen my golf ball come through here?
Damn, see, that's pretty fitting for this guy. Especially when he's throwing those fingers at you. Do you think they had like a mount to like put their arms on when they had to hold a pose for like 7 bajillion hours?
They should have. They didn't.
See, I should go back in time and then invent that.
Make $1 million. Which back then would have been like $20.
$1 million?
I mean,
oh, you're doing it the other way. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
The 16th century arm holder. Mm.
Yeah. The thing is, like, how many people would actually give a shit to buy it?
Only the super rich.
His name's Joseph DeCroix. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Justin Delamorne? What?
Yes, Justin Delamorne, yep.
I mean, to be fair, if he beat us, I believe that's the picture he would send.
Our corpses?
you mad, bro, YOLO?
Nay, 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 as they say.
The Swedish word for no is actually nay.
Well, then this meme is now, multicultural.
Yeah. We spell it differently, but pronounce the same.
Close enough.
It's like the horse?
I hope not.
You should do the ground move system now, since we have nothing else to do.
No, I'm still waking up.
No,
Wake
do
up
it now.
faster! Dance, monkey, dance.
Get the coffee.
That's funny. The dude actually painted himself. So these were self-portraits.
Oh, that's cool.
What, did he have a
Yeah, you
mirror?
think he'd have done his own teeth a bit better, but I guess not.
He knew what he was about.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Look, you're not looking at the teeth. Let's be honest. You're absorbing everything else.
Here's another one of his. But yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that was like a style.
I like that.
Oh, yes, I call that the morning stretch. The wake-up stretch. Yeah, like that. That's exactly what he's doing. That, or he's uppercutting someone while shouting Kamehameha or some shit. I don't know.
Sure you can.
Sure you can. Yeah, that's it.
Slib.
Shut up, nerd. I'll be a pleb over a nerd any day. There are plebs everywhere.
I find this way more funny than it should be.
Lay it on us.
That's sort of.
That is. Who is this? Huh. they edited in their heads in the background. Huh.
That's too funny.
Huh.
I don't recognize that guy.
Is it Napoleon?
Bonaparte.
Is it?
I was definitely not going to say Neapolitan.
Were you? Alright.
Just don't worry about it.
This must be, after he lost power and he's sad about it. Sitting in his exile prison.
Hey, Napoleon, you want to go back to Waterloo?
History jokes.
Ooh, it's winter. Maybe we should go fight the Russians. It's funny, if you actually look up battle tactics of Napoleon's, he essentially just copied the Mongolian fighting style.
But did he have access to that, though?
Yeah, he did, sort of, because basically where he was studying, he was able to learn where I believe, was the Russians, where they were attacked by the Mongolians centuries before, and he adopted their style.
If it's Central Europe to Eastern Europe, it's probably Prussia.
Maybe, I can't remember where it was, but I remember learning about it. It was interesting because they were comparing the Grand Army to the steppe archers.
I'm not awake enough to give you a response, so I'll give you some snaps instead.
Most historians would say, like, the Mongolian steppe archers would be able to compete with any army up to World War One.
Understandably so, consider how World War One had.
Yeah, artillery became a factor, and that was like, well,
hell.
Everything else sucks.
Crazy thing is, there was cavalry involved in World War One.
Yeah, there was. The French also came in with their stupid breastplates and peacock uniforms.
A peacock, what?
So they would dress as brightly as possible with plumage and all these ridiculous extravagancies to make themselves well visible. The problem with that was they were well visible, and they literally got mowed down.
Yep. All right. Just set up the MG over there. All right. They're coming at us.
Yeah. It's theorized the only reason that Germany lost the war was because they overestimated France's capabilities. Like they thought they needed to be on this ridiculous timetable to attack both fronts at one time, so they were able to, instead of trying to fight, no, they thought they were going to be able to just need to obliterate through France so they could focus on Russia afterwards. But they didn't realize how incompetent France was.
I feel bad.
They ended up just screwing themselves over. Also, the Austrians got like obliterated, so that wasn't good for them either.
Rip.
I guess it was good for everyone. Yeah, good times.
This is one of the most educational D&D games I've ever been a part of. I just want to say
Yeah,
that.
talking about history is probably not great for waking you up.
Like, it's not hindering me.
It depends on what aspect of history you go into, I suppose.
This is true. Also, I found some really cool art. Look at that.
That is pretty cool art.
Look at that. Good lighting effects. I like that.
I will be right back.
Mm-hmm.
The more I look at it, the more interesting it is, because it looks like it was literally just a town built into like a mountainous river pass.
I mean, it sort of is that.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the back one, it looks like it's on like literally just built into a mountainside.
Yeah. They have the archway, stone archway over there. There's a train underneath it, which I failed to notice entirely.
There's a what?
There's a train.
Background.
Yeah, there is. Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, alright, well, I can't use it for this campaign now. Alright, well, that's a shame. Alright, time to get rid of it. Move it to the other folder. That's a shame.
I mean, to be fair, all your doors use hydraulics anyways.
Don't worry about my fucking doors. Don't worry about the magical plumbing that exists in the world. Just shut the fuck
Every time it kills me.
up. Don't fucking worry about it.
I'm just coming through a door.
Listen, I gotta do no motherfucking sound. Pay for some sound effects or some shit.
I mean, I dig the hydraulic doors, man.
Might as well just turn this into a steampunk game. I mean,
So I've been playing this mobile game. I don't even know the name of it, to be perfectly honest.
that's good. That's good.
Let me see. I'll have to look it up. It is Kingdom Wars.
That's the most unoriginal title I've ever heard.
Yes, it's pretty generic, but it's also really good. It's one of those like side scroller tower defense type of games.
Mm.
But I really like it because you get like a bunch of different units, and they're all like default knights till you get like mages and stuff. But one of the most effective strategies is just throwing wave after wave after wave of your own men at the problem.
Brute force tactics.
It's like real life.
They only have so many bullets.
I mean, yeah, essentially, I just throw wave after wave of soldiers and shield soldiers so I can build up a army of archers behind them. And it is remarkably effective for most parts. Until they have like big boss type creatures that just obliterate those dudes. And you have to like pull out the paladins to counteract them.
All right, but where's the pay-to-win model in this mobile game?
Oh, there's certain units that you can buy with gems.
Well, there we go.
And you can get combat boost if you use them. And then you can buy gold to level up your troops faster. But miss me with that. I'm trying to find all the strategies.
Nah, pay to win.
Yeah, the first 3 units you get are so like effective. I love using the cavalry, but man, there's just certain units that destroy them.
Pikeman.
He's playing a freaking mobile game. I don't know how historically accurate this
I'm fighting gnolls and minotaurs, so not.
No, that's very historically accurate. The gnolls were a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, those grassy knolls.
Yeah.
Can't charge uphill.
Yep.
Tony, man, you just overload them with wave after wave of expendable soldiers.
How to supervillain.
Super violent.
It's only bad if it fails.
Fair.
Their sacrifice will be honored in the coming empire.
Suddenly we're in a Warhammer 40k game.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it reminds me of. A good soldier knows his duty is to die for his lord's cause. Which is like, I mean, it's effective in the grand scheme. It's very dehumanizing and horrible, but effective.
I remember in one of the Warhammer games, like, you just basically nuke an entire planet, because that's just what you do in 40k. When you think something's bad on a planet, you just like, F. Any assets on it? No? Fuck it. Destroy it. But yeah, so you play a guy that does that, and he has like a sergeant underneath him that like punches him, and then he's like killed like thousands of guardsmen. And then the general's response is simply that it's my job to kill thousands of guardsmen. It's my job to send them to their deaths.
Yeah, what was that? What was the dude in Starship Troopers?
Oh,
old Doogie Howser.
Yeah, I don't remember his character's name.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I don't remember much about Starship Troopers when it comes to the story.
There's not really much to remember, except it's a spoof on how propaganda works.
It's great. I'm doing my part.
I love the movie. I thought it was great if you understood the context.
I'm doing my part. Dies.
Yeah.
It's afraid.
It's afraid. I'm doing my part. Also, welcome back, Taryn.
I return, yes.
Alright, I'm getting some semblance of consciousness.
When you say you returned, it makes me think you're a vampire.
You know?
We haven't
There's a
confirmed
lot
anything.
about me that you don't know.
This is fair.
I do function on a time schedule that's about 4 hours off from everybody else in my time zone. So...
You haven't, like, synced up that for those 4 hours at all?
Well, I can't because of my job, because I often work until 2 a.m.
Shit. Right, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, a lot of times I'm working until 2 a.m., and sometimes I'm working until 4 a.m., and occasionally I'm working until 6 or 7 a.m., and so... It would not... Last night I went to bed at, like, a little after midnight, because I decided to be indulgent, and I hadn't had enough caffeine, and the whole time I was just thinking, I'm like, this is a horrible idea. It's going to throw off my whole schedule. It's going to ruin my life tomorrow.
Don't you worry. That was me as I was typing out those stories. I was thinking I could just sleep right now. It'd be fine. Nah. Okay. I can't let the facade fade.
I stayed up until 8 yesterday morning.
Why do people do this?
I don't know. I was playing Shin Megami Tensei's Nocturne with my fiance.
See, I don't do it for fun.
Is it a board game?
Although occasionally it's that I finish work at like
it's a
4
PlayStation game.
I play Mario.
Mario.
It's a PS2 game, I think it is. For PS. Yeah, it's a PS2 game.
Yep, this is definitely of the franchise. There's always weird fucking monsters. I remember I played. I forgot which one it was. It was like the MMO version, and that shit was weird.
I have no idea which one that is. There's Digital Devil Saga, Nocturne, Persona.
.hack.
Is that one?
I don't know. I was just remembering PS2 games.
Man, I can't even remember the name of it. But the hardest game I ever played in my life was for PS2. I can't even remember it, but I never ended up beating it.
What's it about?
I mean, it was weird. You're going through as like, I guess, like a demon hunter or something like that. And you gotta stop all these things, and at the end you end up like fighting someone who has the power of heavens.
That sounds like every anime game ever.
So it's just so much harder.
Nah, dude. He's played Diablo.
Dude, no, it made Diablo look like a freaking something you'd play for kids at nap in a daycare. Like the final boss.
It is now.
So it's literally just like a generic looking Chinese swordsman with like a Xian, and you fight him on like a comet, essentially. It gets better. The first phase is just normal him. The second phase is devil him, and he starts breaking that comet apart.
You made me use 10% of my power.
And then the final phase is heaven version of him, where he literally
20%.
teleports around every second and a half, and you're jumping from broken comet to comet trying to fight him, and he's just beating you to death, and I just couldn't beat it.
You made him use all 100% of his power.
I think I fought that boss like 150 times, and I was like, I am incapable of doing this.
Damn, 150. I gotta say, I've never gotten to that point. I've only gone up to 80 in a Dark Souls 2 boss.
I mean, I probably put probably 50 tries into Ornstein and Smo when I first fought.
Really?
Well, because I wanted the Ornstein armor.
No, yeah, so I.
That boss was.
Armor.
Yeah, I don't want that crap.
I just want a meme character, in which case everyone wants that crap. But no, there's a Dark Souls 2 DLC boss in the Cinder Tower DLC, and straight up, like after I failed so many times against this guy, I read that he had like a sub 90% success rate.
That sounds right.
Or sub 10% rather. I'm sorry.
I understood what you meant.
If it's the Chinese sword, I believe it's Jian.
Whatever. Point of his sword is he kicked my teeth in so hard.
With the sword, that's impressive. He kicked you with the sword.
Like, I can't even find like clips of it on YouTube because I guess it just wasn't I think it only came out in Japan. To be fair,
that would help narrow it down.
It was so hard. It was 2. It was the second one in the series too. I just can't remember.
I didn't play PS2 games.
Certainly sounds like a JRPG.
Dude, it was impossible.
Some Tales of the Blank game. Alright, I'm relatively awake now. It can only go downhill from here until I crack out the monster, so while I still have a modicum of energy. First off, ignore any grammatical errors I have in the coming couple hours. But, friend Taryn.
Yes?
I hope you guys are ready, because you guys are about to influence the world on a grand scale, relatively.
Oof.
Oof. Oof. So, time to pull out the spreadsheet. So, O and Garth already had their factions make their moves. And all moves happen relatively simultaneously. And they do not obviously take... Well, maybe not obviously, I shouldn't say that. But they do not take place over the course of, like, a single day. They take place over the course of a couple weeks. So, the beginning of this step of the Grand Moves, it basically kicks in as you guys killed Sebastian Hilduin. Sir Sebastian Hilduin. And Sora's literally went to hell. So yeah. So the beginning of this turn takes place a couple weeks ago. So by the time you guys finish Dovros, I'll probably kick in another step. But yeah. So, I have here... I have the stats for your faction, Fred. They are a sneaky group, not... with no plus or minus to their militant's capability, their literal, manpower, martial strength, but they have a hell of a reputation as well. Some magic, and a decent infrastructure. So, yeah. In essence, you have two, what's the word? I guess actions you can run on a tactical scale as opposed to a strategic scale. So two relatively small scale moves, as the system implies, that you can have your faction make.
Okay.
Whether it be bullying another faction, attacking a bigger faction, which I'd never recommend, unless you ally with other small factions. Looking for information, stuff like that. I will use our two fellow players here as an example. So, for the Ruby Rose companions, O/Sora's faction, the two actions he spent were diplomatic actions, between one for the Heartlands and one for Silphwall, as political climate turns a bit tense as a Silphwall noble wants some old land back that he said was taken by the king and given over the Heartlands. He wants it back because ain't no fucking king around, right? So his actions were to be the middleman between these and facilitate some peace talks, which essentially boiled down to, like, let me see. Let me read off here. I have the exact description. Grand steps. Yeah, the Heartlands are having a bad harvest this season anyways, so the land isn't that valuable to you. And it's definitely not worth starting a civil war over. Obviously, if he failed, then as you guys go south, you guys will be marching through some military camps as both sides sort of gear up and say, fuck you to the other side. But luckily, was successful, so Silphwall and the Heartlands aren't in a civil war just yet. Go, you guys. For Garth and the Hunter's Watch, let's see here. Also, I hear an echo that triggers me. It's like a speech jammer. All right, it's gone. Also, speech jammers are fucking freaky. There's a free and good one somewhere online, and goddamn, that shit, I've used it before. Ooh.
It offsets your voice by like a millisecond, and that's just enough.
Yeah. It's amazing. But anyways, so yeah, Garth/Chedamir's faction, because the Hunter's Watch isn't exactly well, they're sort of the inverse of the Ruby Rose Companions. They are not a faction that interacts with other factions. They're not a faction that goes out of their way to do stuff. They stay in their little corner of, the frozen north. So, in regards to that, the Hunter's Watch, because, the point of this system is to be narratively based, there's no winning for this, technically, Because if one of you win, that means everyone else lost, and that's not what I'm trying to go for here. I'm just trying to make the world dynamic. So the Hunter's Watch found some old members of it, which may or may not have some blood-based magics, which may or may not be deemed heretical in the South.
They may or may not be completely insane. Just don't worry about that.
Yeah, they may be insane. They may be still a bit insane, but
in the membrane.
In the membrane, of course. Yep, insane in the membrane, but in a coherent sense. And then there is also something which was made queer, and something Chedamir will get notified in the next, maybe this session actually, maybe there, but that you guys, as a group, have a hunter. Something is coming down all the way from Northrend to hunt you down from the void. So, that's something the Hunters Watch discover it, and we'll try to inform Chedamir about that. Hey, you're in the south. We don't know what it is, but it's going south. So keep an eye out for it. In actuality, it is hunting you guys. So, yeah. So as you can tell, there are two ways. Oh, there's an infinite ways of playing this system. You can play it in a very large scale style, keep the peace of the provinces. You can play it much more localized and have your faction focus upon itself and its own improvement, and provide some, but in both cases, provide some narrative benefit for the real party as you guys go around places.
Technically, since the head of the faction I'm sort of playing here is my narrative enemy, I'm going to disconnect Aldrich's agenda from whatever choices I make.
Yeah, no. I discussed this with Owen and Garth when they were making their steps. The way your faction is led will drastically change how it acts. And I don't mean that in oh yeah, no fucking shit, you crash. Of course I mean that in the sense that if you play a tyrannical faction like yours, which is led by one person and one person's will alone, then it's good. They were going to act much differently versus, say, like the Rubio's companions. They have a relatively significant number of people in charge of it and counsel with it, versus a Sky who says, "Fuck you, get out of my office. I have things to do." So it'll operate a bit more, I want to say selfishly, but a bit more self-interested, so to speak.
Avarice.
Yes, that's actually a very good way to put it.
Avarice and ambition, the two A's of business.
I mean, as an economics major, I would be inclined to agree. But yeah. So, Fred, you think that over. And Terran.
I already know what I want to do.
Well, let me do Terran's faction creation first. So, let me just jump up. This is not an actual sheet you guys can see. This is all on my end. So, them's the shame. But Terran,
yes,
if you could please roll me as I look at the numbers here. You guys are, roll me a. Am I blind? Oh yeah, there it is. Roll me a 1d18 plus 20. These are going to be your attribute points, so to speak, where you spend to make your faction bigger.
Fun fact, I have synesthesia, so a lot of my numbers and letters are the same, and I just definitely instinctually typed 2 instead of D.
I ain't blaming you.
But
Oof.
I've done better.
Is this right? Oh, let's see. 20, 40, 42. Wait a minute. Something ain't right here. Hold on, a tarnation. Wait a second. Okay, my bad. Roll again. Instead of 20, it's 38.
Oh, 38?
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
It does make a difference. I was like, wait a minute, this is 27 is a bit too low for what I'm imagining here.
I like that you didn't just redo the math, you're just letting me re-roll. Can I take the first roll instead?
Sure, why not? So 45 points. Pretty even.
45.
So, yeah, your faction, we're going to do step by step here. Your faction has 3 stats, 3 attributes. It has Guile, Militance, and Reputation. Guile is for that sneaky, stabby, darky, specialist outlook. So, something like the Hunter's Watch or the Seekers. They don't have a tremendous amount of manpower, but the manpower they have is quite specialized and quite capable. Good for scouting, sneaky, etc. Militant is exactly that. Sort of military power, manpower. So compare this to the Slayers. There's a lot of Slayers. And they are pretty straightforward in their strategic approach in if it moves, kill it. Yeah, classic. Militant is military power. And reputation is pretty self-explanatory. It's your reputation. It's your reputation, how well you're perceived, or how infamous you're perceived, if we want such, as well as connections to other people. Each of these stats are your rolling stats, so, like you would in the normal system. If I wanted to say, you can't military power a eldritch being's name. You can't punch it until it gives you its name. But that being said, you can reputation it out of one of their enemies, or use guile and sort of find out where it is and steal it. I don't know how you steal a name, but you do. But yeah, so each stat corresponds to a method of doing stuff. So you have 45 points, because we're going to keep the first roll. You have 45 points, and it is up to you to distribute these points between these three stats however you wish. It is something of note that if you ally yourself with another faction, you just add the stats together. So to someone like the Ruby Rose Companions, O made them have a 2 points in Guile, which is a -4 modifier. Why is this the case? Because no one does sneaky shit in the Keplins. No one's going to steal from them. And if they do, then they themselves don't go after it. You're asking a bunch of, clerics to go do some criminal work. That's not how this works. Instead, they could go pay someone, talk to the City Watch, something. Someone that has a better Guile stat than them to go do something for them. So yeah, don't feel like you have to be a jack of all trades, but that being said, you do you.
So what would be the medium modifier then?
Well, the maximum any stat could be is a 30. Okay. But you have one specialty stat, which can become a maximum of 33.
Okay, but what would be just so you said that a 2 would be a -4 modifier. Yeah, so, what would be just a 0 modifier?
A 0 modifier is a 10. It operates the same way as your character sheet.
Okay, that's what I was checking.
Yeah, there are 2 operations you can conduct in the moves: a strategic and a field operation. You got all your guys' factions are not large scale enough as of right now to operate strategically, in a strategic operation manner. A strategic operation is pretty big.
Yeah.
So if I want the Special Watch to say exterminate all goblins in the north, that would be a very long-term endeavor, and that's a strategic operation. Versus something like I want to assassinate another person's officer. That's a field operation. It can be done in a night, technically. Mm-hmm. So you guys have 2 field operations. And this is the reason I'm explaining this is because the stats you have are important. The raw number you have is important for the strategic part. So let's say if you guys ran a strategic operation, the DC would be you'd have to roll your number. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you had a 0 in a stat, you basically can never succeed fully. Ever. It's the number +0 +0 or below for the best effect, +33 rather, for you do it but at a cost, and +66 for you just fucking failed. Sucks. So yeah. That's not relevant to you guys, but just know that the raw number itself does matter. On the flip side, field operations do use a modifier, like a normal D&D roll. So, each, you get a +30, or you have 30 in your stat, you have a +10 to a field operation. You're basically, you have an ace in the hole when it comes to that specific stat, so long as it's relevant. So yeah. You have 45 points to divvy up between all 3 stats. You're by all means free to just say use one stat as a dump stat and then just not, and hopefully never have to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this is something Owen and Garth are well aware of, is that the things you do can employ or deploy like different stats. So like me getting someone to stay quiet, I could do that by literally beating the shit out of them with militants. I could blackmail them with reputation, or I could just hold a blade to their family's neck with guile. Like there's like multiple ways to do a specific action. The way you do it will change the results, but the theme of the results rather. But the result will still be the same. So yeah. You have 45 points to divvy up. Before I go any further, which stat do you want to be your faction's specialty?
I mean, obviously the like military one.
Fair enough. Also, do you have a specific name in mind for your faction? Because I have Faithfuls of Karem. Because I don't think you ever gave me. I don't think you ever actually gave me a name for them.
That would be cool, but I actually don't, because I'm trying to think whether, because like, Seema was actually raised in. Ooh, I don't have the thing any longer. Let me look in the pinned messages really far back.
I have your documents if you require them. Let me look them up.
I mean, I also have that document, but it's just I just need to. I don't have the document on the names of the different gods and goddesses, and that's where I'm looking. Yeah, see, Seema was raised in the temple of Lovisa the Vaunted.
Classic.
So that's actually where she was raised, but then joined the Church of Karem, and then was also traveling with the mercenary group that was just generically a mercenary group.
They had faithful people in it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, like the way that everybody is. But she just happened.
Fair.
She was just like a field medic for them.
Fair.
Like, so she was the de facto most religious one.
Fair enough. But keep in mind that while this might be your character's faction, it is going to be ran by you as a player, not by your character.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Because obviously, Source isn't around anymore, but we saw the Ruby Rose companions. So.
Mm-hmm. So, tell me again what the name you had was.
I had the Faithfuls of Karem.
I'm cool with that.
You're cool with that? Okay.
We'll keep that.
If you think of a core one, just send it over to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you think of your stats, I'm going to run the first step of Fred.
Mm-hmm.
So, take it over. You have 45 points. And we have more stuff afterwards, so, yeah. We'll do one step with Fred. Yeah, Fred. You're right here.
Yes, I am here.
You are here. So, what does Hagen Acquisitions, aka Justice Scary, want to do in these 2 weeks? You can't actually deploy a field operation for her to hunt you down if you want to make things narratively interesting. That being said, like I'm sure there's also a shit ton of other stuff you could do with only 2 actions. So
yes, so there are 2 things Ascari is interested in. I assume she's received word from Aldrich at this point.
Yes, at this point in time, she has received the letter and has sent a return message. The messenger's somewhere in the south.
So there are 2 things that she would do. Edit this because that's how she operates in my brain. She would A, maintain her current ambitious, business operations, and since there's tension in Sylphwall, because of that aforementioned negotiation, give me my land or else. She would definitely find a way to supply the Sylphwall noble with the weapons.
Interesting. Okay.
Be that physical weapons or information, either or, anything that pays good money. The second thing she would do is in light of Aldrich's actions, she would want to track him down, potentially hunt him down. So yeah, those are the two things that she would do.
Okay, well, we'll break it down step by step. Haha. So, day by day. So let's run the first one. You have your 3 stats. I have them recorded here. I will read them off to you. You have a 22, which is a +6 in Guile. You have a 10 flat, +0 in Militant, and you have a 20, which is a +5 in Reputation. Since you would be operating within Silphwall itself, you're within your infrastructure range, so you have a +3 to these rolls. Because, yeah, and well, I should just ask, like, what manner are you trying to give this? You could have. I'm just giving some suggestions. This is an immensely narratively free system. Like, yeah, like I will actually create new towns and shit. Just ask Garth for this system, but how do you want her to go about this? Does she use some guile? Does she steal some weapons from Silphwallian military? Does she, like, I don't know, buy them off from some other faction? You mentioned an informational route. Like, does she use her reputation to make some very pointed inquiries onto the Heartlandic side of things to supply to the Silphwall noble? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I feel that currently, because she does want to save some sort of potentially violent resource for dealing with any situation pertaining to Aldrich, she would opt for a more information style approach there. So she would probably use either guile or reputation to find information that could be used as blackmail and supply it to the Lord. Yeah, the Silphwall Lord. Gotcha.
In that case, because I feel like it's more Ascari's style to but hold knife to throat out the information from someone versus ask someone politely. Yeah. So we'll go with guile on that, which is your better stat.
Yes.
So roll me a d20 +6. There's no technical failing for this roll. Well, if you get sub 10, then you fail. But from there on, it's probably honestly just degrees of success.
D20 +6?
Mm-hmm.
Oof!
I don't know what to say to that. Wow.
Now watch us in nat 20s, Aldrich.
It's okay.
Well,
Ebenhold's suggestion was too powerful.
Yeah, like what ended up happening. Wow, I was not expecting that. So what ends up happening for Hagen Acquisitions, Ascari in particular, I don't imagine she's particularly pleased by this, but she just ends up getting no information, or she gets information that is already known, like stuff that the Silphwall noble already has, and it ends up sort of happening in that any relevant information between, like, from about one party to the other party is already given to them by some other third party ambassadors, emissaries, middlemen, holy folk. Like, it's sort of like, it's like if you just air your dirty laundry, no one can nitpick it out. That's sort of what already happened. So, like, any particularly juicy bits of information just aren't. They're not there. Nothing relevant, at least.
Interesting.
That's the only way I can explain it that one away.
Yeah, makes sense.
Alright, just add Hagen. No, unbold, please. Unbold. Okay. Hagen Acquisitions star, because it's a player faction. And then we got the field operation, and then use some guile. Action attempts to find critical information to supply in the Silphwall, the Heartlands land dispute, Equal sign. Failure. It appears any relevant and helpful information had already been divulged and smoothed over through a third party. Parentheses, Ruby Rose Companions. Yeah, so this is now you guys actually operating against one another. Well, you know what I mean? Not really. I don't think any of us as players want Ascari to be successful versus you guys. You son of a bitch.
Yeah.
But you still have a second action.
Yes,
and you could use it to just do the same thing again.
No,
I don't mind that.
No, this is because he has two major. She wants to expand the organization and its reach, so that was what the first thing was intended to do. The second, which is sort of her priority, would be securing her lineage, her heir, which is Owen. In order to do that, she has to deal with Aldrich, and in order to deal with Aldrich, she has to find him.
All right. Now, how is she going to go about doing this? I feel like there's a number of ways she could do this. That's a good point, Garth. You guys haven't been subtle exactly. That being said, like, you guys are just stirring up some trouble, as you know, vagrants do. Whatever. So yeah, how is she gonna go about finding Aldrich and Owen's location? Like their exact
Here's what I imagine she would do. She would put together a group of eclectic morals, supply them with enough coin to ensure that they complete the task that she instructs them to do, and then she would probably state something along the lines of track down Aldrich, punish him by, I don't know, breaking his knees, and then return Owen to me.
Track down Aldrich, punish him by some physical means, we'll say, and bring back Owen.
She would probably want Aldrich brought back as well, because she loves gloating, so there's that.
And if he's still around, bring Aldrich back too.
Yeah.
Alright. Equal sign. Alright. So, I think that sounds, arming a group of specialists and hopefully subtle mercs, I guess. Agent sounds better. Sounds pretty guile-rific to me. That's not a real word, but it is now. So roll me the same thing again. Roll me that D20 plus 6, and hope you literally can't get any worse than that one. So, don't no. You have only one place to go. That's up. You might just go to a 2 though. So I don't know.
We'll find out. Okay.
Okay, better. We'll say success. And now it's up to us to determine, what makes this a success and what sets it apart from a massive success, So let's discuss that, you and I. How do you want them to be successful, but not too successful? It could just simply be a matter of it takes time. They are sort of blocked. They can't go north because, the spires are closed, so that's a pretty big reason. Or it might just simply be they ran into some trouble on the way. Maybe they just got, lost a guy to, some random assassin. I don't know. So, yeah, what makes them successful, but not... they know where you are. They know you're in the north, and that you're coming south. They have this general information. They themselves can't go north. Not easily. So, yeah, what makes this successful?
So I think that they would be armed with information. they would have discovered various rumors or the like. And from different kinds of rumors. And from these, they've sort of extrapolated what are the likely points of entry for when Aldrich does come within striking distance. And then the limitation would be probably they can't exactly determine which point of entry is more likely. So maybe they're hesitating between 2 or 3 options, and they're not entirely sure yet which one they want to invest in.
Okay, that definitely sounds very, very, like, A, logical, B, narratively interesting. So I'm putting armed with information that analyzes a multitude of options and distill them down to but a few. Now they're faced with the task. This is the trial, rather.
Yeah, like O wrote there could have been people in some bar mentioning, oh yeah, I've heard about those, they're going this way.
I don't think you guys ever actually mentioned where you were going. Luckily. You guys have mentioned a lot of stuff. I don't think you ever mentioned where you're actually going. They're faced with the trial deciding which point is the point to invest in. So, I think... I'll put this in bold because that's how we denote... well, I suppose it's up to you, not me. Something they could do in the next step, because again, like, this isn't just a one-done thing, this is an ongoing process. Their next step could simply be do this again and narrow it down further. The DC would be lower then. Or they could just employ thugs. I want thug over in this town, I need you to just keep an eye out for so-and-so individual. Sure. Roll me some reputation. Give me some coin. I can watch anything for you if you give me enough coin. Stuff like that. So that's something you can do for the next step. Because I think this step probably ends as you guys get to Dovros.
Alright, cool.
Yeah. So there you go. Alright. Taryn. Faithful Krem.
I was trying to remember if I was muted or not. So
You are not.
I decided that actually my group is going to be actually aligned with Lovisa because that is like the
more fitting.
I feel like that's like what I've been thinking about more when I've thought about my side of kind of like world building and like backstory for Seema is more like that distant past kind of stuff. And so their name is going to be the Vaunted Warriors, which is partially because I really would like it to be the Vaunted Warriors, but they take themselves too seriously for that.
Why?
I love it.
Is this what Seema like? She'll misspeak and then say the Vaunted Warrior. I mean the Warriors. Just like shit, I said it wrong again.
I think that it's just Taryn who has that in my heart, but because the Vaunted Warrior still sounds nice. I have the stats. I'll send them in Roll20.
Awesome.
And so I'm gonna have them be based out of the Keplans, since that makes the most sense.
Fair.
And so I know what their first move is gonna be. I'm not sure what their second one's gonna be, but their first move.
Well, let me just interject that if your first move fails, you could just do it again.
Exactly. So their first move is mainly just going to be like a defensive move that might make it interesting for us, which is that they want to reinforce like protections around the Keplans, particularly. I don't know what the largest city in the Keplans is. I don't remember what the name of it is, or if we've ever established it.
The biggest city in the not Vindacio. Vindacio is to my tongue. Hearthstonia.
Okay.
This is something everyone knows. It's sort of like the Mecca place, you know. It's a place of pilgrimage.
Yeah.
Temples to all the gods there, even the asshole ones.
So
like
I think that would make the most sense because I was trying to decide if this was going to be more of a border protection for the Keplans or a like city wall reinforcement. But I think the first thing is just going to be border enforcement. And I don't know if I don't think that looks like walls. I think that looks like them sending out troops to patrol the different main roads that come into the Keplands, as well as kind of like the more areas where like maybe bandits kind of sneak across, like.
Okay.
So patrols, border patrols, basically.
Okay. Before we continue, because there are some other stats. Well, I can fill in one stat right now. Oh, no. Regional. There we go. So there are 2 more numbers and then 2. Well, I guess only 1 categorical stats. So there's 4 sizes of a faction: local, regional, provincial, and national. All of you guys have regional factions. But then, you might be like, well, I sort of want, like, I still want my faction to sort of influence the province. Why not? How come I'm not provincial? You can still influence the province. Provincial means, like, you literally are set up in the province.
Mm-hmm.
So we have another stat for this. It's called infrastructure. Infrastructure is, as the name implies, it's, your network system. Not for a military faction. Obviously, you can't just march hundreds of troops around scot-free. Yeah. So an infrastructure might be literal military outposts that you set up. For a guile faction, for your sneaky, stabby people, you have safe houses. For a reputation faction, your infrastructure safe houses, quote unquote, might look like trusted allies, nobles, people that won't rat you out when you come to town. Like a certain Sebastian Hildwin. He has his own demise. Mm-hmm. So yeah. This stat and this number stat and the other number stat, which I'll get to momentarily, goes from a scale of 1 to 15, and every 3 numbers is a tier. So 1 to 3, 4 to 6, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And they correspond to a +1 and a +2 and a +3, so on and so forth, up to a +5. And essentially, how it works is, if you are up, I just realized also, Fred, we didn't add your infrastructure bonus to your stats. I don't think it changes anything. I don't think it changes anything for the nat 1. But if you want to make the second success a bit more successful, then think it over while I'm doing this. But yeah, if you operate within your infrastructure, you get just a free bonus. And the better your infrastructure is, the better a bonus you get, and the larger your infrastructure is. So let's say the Hunter's Watch operates somewhere in the capital. Yeah, that ain't their fucking infrastructure. That is the opposite. So they don't get any bonuses for that. Versus them operating on their home turf in Northrend. Home turf in Northrend. Oh, the turf. Look at it over there. Yeah, if they operate on their home turf in Northrend, they get an infrastructure bonus. So this is not something you roll. This is something I would just straight up ask you. How much of an infrastructure do you have?
I think that this faction has a pretty decent amount, but I think it's divided between military and reputation.
Okay, well, you don't have to allocate them. I'm just wondering. I just realized also that +1s that those tier system doesn't matter for this number, so I totally lied to you. But that's for another one. But yeah, like, just give me a number of between 1 and 15. Like, how many safe posts, military outposts, not necessarily that ones that you own, but just ones that you utilize, are around. Yeah.
I don't want to open my group.
It's up to you. I mean, let's see. So Fred's faction has 8, O's faction has 4, and then Gar's faction also has 4.
Okay, then I'll be a little bit diplomatic and say like.
It's up to you. You can go 15. I don't care.
10.
10? Okay. Pretty fair.
I think they're a long-established group, but I think that they purposefully are insular.
All right. So we'll say you have a provincial infrastructure size because you're pretty effective around the Keplands. Mm-hmm. So you have a +3, and basically, like, these outposts don't have to be standalone structures either. Like, they could literally just be, oh, we're going to this city. Oh, we could just leave our, like, several dozen forces we have at this person's estate because they have room and food and feeding capacity for that. And they owe us. And they're good friends. Simple as that. So half of this 10 could just simply be major cities versus the other 5, which might be what. But yeah, like, we don't have to explain it all, but just know that you have places to chill out, or this faction has places to chill out around the Kibblins. Yeah. And that brings us to the last step. Everyone's favorite thing in the world, except Mira, and Chedamir, and Marshall. Magic!
Magic!
This is also something, this is the one I was talking about before. So there's 1 to 15, tiers 1 to 5, so on and so forth. Magic just implies an implicit advantage. Also, I forgot to add the magic bonus. Fuck! So, damn it. So you should have a plus... You should have a +4 to that 15. So that's a 19. So, yeah, so magic...
All right.
Magic is just something... In technicality, it's constantly operating versus in a PvP sense. Or an FVF sense. Faction versus faction sense. But if you don't face another faction, then you just get it. Because, yeah, makes sense. So basically, it is just a free modifier. 1 to 15 for, +1, +2, +3, so on and so forth. The only catch of magic is only when you face another faction. Which also has magic. Then I subtract, and whoever has the better magic score keeps the difference. So let's say, I don't know, your faction has, I'm not saying that it will, it's up to you. Your faction has a 6 out of 15, the other faction has a 15 out of 15. I subtract the 2, 9. And the winner gets to keep the +3. So on and so forth. So yeah. It's up to you. So yeah, what number would you like to assign to your... How magical are the Vaunted Warriors?
So, here's my question, because I'm going to measure this on a level from, fighter to wizard. I would say their level of magic is paladin.
Okay. I mean, the thing is, it's not necessarily there's just one magic person in your faction.
I know.
It could be a series of lesser mages or a small number of better mages.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, that it's there's a fair amount of paladins in the faction, and then a few mages, definitely a good amount of clerics, obviously. And so I just don't know where that number would lie.
I will give you the numbers of everyone else, and I don't know, you can finagle. So,
okay.
Hagen Acquisition's at a 2, which is a +1. You could have a 0. The Ruby Rose Companion's at a 13, which is the bare minimum threshold of a +5. So you see, the numbers in this region, this 1, 2, and 3 tier, matter, because when I start subtracting shit, it starts mattering.
Yeah.
The Hunter's Watch has a 6, which is a +2. So I think I don't really, you and O seem to have relatively similar visions for how your faction operates, in that they are a relatively militarily capable group with a obvious, not lifeline, that's not an obvious support line with holy magic. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I'm not sure if you and O believe that your factions are the same levels of magic, I don't know. But obviously it's up to you to decide. If you want to get that fucking 13, go ahead.
I think I'm gonna say that mine's at an 8.
An 8? Okay. Which is a plus, I can do math, 3. Alright, pretty good. Excellent. Alright, now your faction is fully built. Now we can start playing around with it.
Okay.
Alright, so you said you wanted to set up a bit more of a more secure, I guess, I was going to say infrastructure. I guess a technically is infrastructure, but not your infrastructure. Roadway for Hearthstonia, the roads leading up to it, and just generally in the Keplan's and its edges, its borders. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, then.
Gonna protect the home base.
Alright, seems like you're doing that in a military standpoint, unless you want to finagle it to be otherwise.
I think I'm going to do it from a military standpoint, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so roll me a d20, so +4 for militants, +3 for magic, and a +3 additional for infrastructure. So that's a +10.
So 1d20 +10. Hey.
Pretty good. All right, so this is a field operation, deploying militants. The warriors. The warriors. And to secure the roads and routes around the Keplins, those leading to Harstonia in particular. Equal sign, success. I mean, this is a pretty significant success. Is there anything in particular you want to achieve out of this?
This
is your way of controlling the world to be better, worse, or just plain more interesting for the whole party?
I think that the main outcome of this is just that it's going to be very difficult for anybody to get into the Keplins. So it has like the dual thing of both that obviously it's going to be more safe, but for people who are outsiders, it's going to present more difficulties.
All right, I'm gonna put the Keplins have a much more clearly established boundary,
and I think it's probably pissing off the other provinces too a little bit, maybe.
Have a much more clearly established boundary, and those who are not from it are now finding difficulty, or finding increased difficulty, not immense, or they might be immense for some of them. Are now finding increased difficulty just to simply enter the province. Province, comma, to the ire of its neighboring provinces. Sound good?
That sounds good.
Now you still have a second action.
So, I have a question. Would stuff about like fell gods, the whole fell gods be rising in general, would that have reached the Keplins by this point?
Technically no, because the spires are closed, so message to and from the south is pretty limited. Tell you what, there is still one way that information can pass north to south, and that's not through literally going a U-turn around the mountains. The margin clause. And that is because there is a pass right there into the Heartland. So I'm gonna roll a straight 1d100.
What about pigeons?
Well, pigeons get shot down. Or hunted down by falconers.
All of them?
Most of them. You keep in mind, they had to pass through the mountains.
Fair.
And dwarves are very, very... the dwarves own the upper half of the mountains. They're talking like pirates now. I don't know why. But yeah, that is a
perfect recipe for dove soup and pigeon soup.
That sounds awful. I'm gonna roll 1d100. We'll say 40 and below after Fred's raise point. That is fair. It was gonna be like 30, but 40 and below, we'll say information has passed into the south. And if this is the case, I think you guys will find that the south is a bit more fervorous than normal when you guys get there. Ta-da! Nope. All right, we get a nice, ignorantly peaceful south.
Okay. Then, because I feel like what I'm thinking right now is that I think that something that would be interesting would be for them to be doing some sort of research. But I'm trying to think what would be.
I mean, if you very much want some news of Fell Guys to hit, not necessarily the South as a whole, but hit your faction, we can do that.
Well, no, I just wanted them to be trying to gather some type of information of some sort.
General research on Fell Guys is conducted.
So not just on Fell Gods though, but like maybe they're trying to figure out like how to communicate with more northern stuff because they have fighters up in the Hilllands because they sent some people up there.
That might be something. Yeah, you could do that. You could just simply establish a research.
Let's in a reputation vein. I think that they're going to be trying to finagle stuff to try to form allies or call upon some allies to help them get better veins of communication with the North with things being closed down.
Something occurred to me just now that Seema could do herself in this. It's as a cleric, you have access to sending, yes?
This is true.
I believe I do, yes.
So if you were to take a moment during play, you could easily pass on some information to an individual you're familiar with.
Like, if you want to have done that, like, retroactively, and, like, because you guys have had, like, plenty of travel time and free time, like, I don't mind to have already done such, and then sort of aid your faction.
There would be a word. Yeah.
Here's the thing. That just feels metagamey to me because I don't think Seema's on super close speaking terms with a lot of people down south.
I mean, like, I want to dissuade all of you. Like, this system very much is it's literally metagaming.
Yeah, I'm just trying
meta world gaming.
Also true to my people, and so I think that I have come upon what I want to do, which is just to try to get for my group to try to get favoritism and to try to get easier veins of communication up to the North, while also them being hypocrites and trying to keep everybody out of their province.
I like it. I mean, if you're trying to get some sort of foothold in the North, that sounds like to me like you're literally trying to expand your infrastructure and such like that.
Yeah.
Up north. In
the reputation vein.
Okay, so you roll me some reputation, which let me just calculate the modifiers here. We got a +3. Another +3. Now, if you're trying to reach out to the North, this is leaving your infrastructure range. Because obviously you're sort of based on the Keplins. Or you're trying to research it from the Keplins.
Yeah, I think that they're trying to, like... Yeah, I don't think they're reaching out yet. I think they're trying to... I guess it's up to, I guess I'll let you make that distinction because it's that they're trying to essentially, I guess because they're trying to make more connections, so they're trying to build an infrastructure outside of where they have infrastructure, but through ties they already have, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll say that you'll keep your infrastructure bonus, but you're not, because like the point of expanding your infrastructure is that you actually consolidate a position somewhere.
Yeah.
Like the planning of it doesn't get you it. So we'll say you do the planning now, and then next turn you can build upon it, like literally build upon it.
Yeah, that sounds about like what I'm trying to do.
Okay, so +3, and another +3, so +9. I like how you did a bunch of +3s.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so the Keplins is an immensely diplomatic province. They're usually the middleman for. They're literally the middleman for like 5 different provinces, and politically, they're in the capital. They're usually the middleman between different provinces' nobles. So it's not terribly hard for your faction, with a 24 especially, it's not terribly hard for your faction to talk to relevant parties of interest. A lot of Keplin houses are interested in the twins, either from a convergence standpoint or a purge the heretic standpoint. So through them, some collaboration of them, which is, because it's reputation, there's some collaboration of them, you manage to definitely find out more about the culture of the twins, the peculiar methodology of their worship, the beings that they worship, stuff like that. So we can definitely say it's a success. I shall type such.
Woohoo.
We got the warriors. Laying out the groundwork for establishing and improving rapport with the Twins province. = success. Do a series of pointed inquiries. I can spell inquiries. And some collaboration. with interested parties. They now have a solid foundation to expand upon when it comes to the twins. The end.
The end.
Iskari would be pissed about this because she's been trying to expand her reach.
Yeah, so
Aldrich approves.
Yeah, so yeah, now we're getting some conflicting interests here.
I like it.
Yeah, that'll be decided at a later point. That'll be very interesting to see an order of clerics getting sabotaged by a criminal faction. Yeah. Before we transition over to the actual game, Fred, you should have had like a 19 instead of like a 15. So
yes,
did you how much more successful do you want to describe for your hunters?
Okay, so I will respond with a question because O pointed something out that I find interesting. One of her minions could let slip that Aldrich did steal something from Lord Kadak, if information has passed from that. But you said that the information was hard pressed to get south. So is that within the realm of possibility?
In technicality, you were never found out to be the thief. That was the thing. If you guys were, you guys would have been let out of that town.
That's true. But the would it be possible for the sort of criminal element of the town to sort of to put two and two together and suspect?
Yeah. I think that'd be definitely within the realm of possibility. I think the criminal factions of the place, like, they start pointing fingers at each other. Why'd you steal from the Lord? Why did I steal from the Lord? Why'd you steal from the Lord? Wait, you didn't steal from the Lord? No. Who could it have been? Oh, I don't know. Maybe those freaking vagrants that came through town. That makes sense. So yeah, I public-wise, nothing was stolen. No, not at all. Criminal element-wise, yeah, I think they probably figured out. If it wasn't just someone in your party, if it wasn't you in specific, then yeah, someone in your party would have stolen it.
Okay.
So, yeah. But with that success, like that level of success, they probably identified it's you. They're like, yeah, this hunter person doesn't sound like it. I don't think a cleric would steal. No. Stuff like that.
Armed with that information, they could probably utilize different resources to sort of find means to track Aldrich down.
Okay.
So in a narrative sense, maybe they can triangulate his location a bit more precisely.
Yeah, I think they probably have. Let me open up the thing here. So there it is. Armed with information, they analyze their multitude of options and send them down to about a few. Blah blah blah. I'm gonna put bracket addendum.
If it helps, we did tell the nobles that we were going to the maestros.
Ah, shit, you're right. That is a very good point. Armed with the specific information from Varnaber, one down. They know Aldrich is coming south. Coming south to the maestros. And that he was the thief of Varnaber. Comma. And then now we have more stuff to put in.
But they can't prove it.
But they can't prove it. But they can't prove it now. I'm gonna put it. But they can't prove it.
If I was them, what I would do is I would stake out whatever locations I think, okay, Aldrich is likely to enter here, here, or here. Or maybe if it's too early, it doesn't matter. If he doesn't show there, we will beeline to where we do know he is going to be, which is toward the maestros, and set up an ambush.
All right, I'm going to put they now effectively stake out what few ways to the north there are. North with a capital N. North there are. And if they fail to see him, type, I swear, or Owen in a timely manner, they will beeline to the maestros. and bracket. All right, so now, they have consolidated their positions a bit more, and now they know where you're going. If they don't see you. Which they might not. Who knows? Maybe they will. Maybe they'll see you as soon as you enter town. I don't know. To be seen. Literally. Alright. We're probably gonna end up running another step pretty shortly once you guys finish Devros. So that's fun.
I like you say once and not if.
I feel like you guys are gonna be noticed. I'm just saying. If you guys are noticed, then yeah. But again, you might not. I don't know. Who knows? So yeah, that is the first step of the Grand Move system. Thank you all for running that.